What is good, NIO family? It's Rey-Jay back with another video, and in this one I'm going to be talking about the one and only NIO stock and what you should be looking after for the future. I'm also going to do a very in-depth analysis between NIO and Tesla and break down why they tend to move very similarly, why they both actually have some potential to squeeze a bit. Not saying it's going to be the biggest squeeze ever, but I do believe there is some potential for it next week, as crazy as that may sound, and how this could actually affect NIO's share price and also Tesla's. But before I break anything down about NIO, before I get into any more details about Tesla, I do have to mention a couple of things before starting. Firstly, I'm not a financial planner. Take none of this as financial advice whatsoever. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button if you want to see more videos like this. It not only benefits me, it benefits the entire NIO community as a whole. And the last things, if you guys can, please check out the Webull link down below and in the description. If you sign up for Webull, the link down below, and deposit any amount of money into the account, you're guaranteed up to 12 free stocks, each worth up to $3,000. And the best part is any could be a free Tesla share. The offer ends in just 3 days. Check it out before they run out. With that out of the way, let's get on with the video. NIO is actually up only 0.54% for the day, but it was very nice to see NIO bounce off $8.05. Now, looking at the structure, it's starting to actually give us some bullish signals as NIO is getting this PPO crossover right here, and we actually had a bit of a divergence that formed. The RSI was just climbing and climbing and climbing, but the share price actually dropped one more time before continuing to go up. If we could see NIO retest gap resistance at 8.5, it has the potential to get closer to $9 very, very soon. This will depend on Tesla and the overall market as well, but Tesla also has some bullish signals developing. Now, why is Tesla so significant to NIO? Why does this even matter? They're different stocks anyways, but here's the thing. They're both EVs, they're both consumer discretionaries, and this is very important because as Tesla continues to pump, we tend to see this actually impact the QQQ and the overall market to some degree. Not always, but during many different stages, this did actually perpetuate. I also want to note this because if Tesla does pump more, the algorithms, right, there are different algos that dictate how stocks move, they tend to be correlated. They tend to have very big similarities. And I could actually prove this to you guys because if you do a price comparison between NIO and Tesla, the white line being NIO, the blue one being Tesla, check this out. Right here, they both were dropping here, right? Then back in June, NIO reported some very, very strong, I think it was deliveries reports. And then NIO started outperforming. So NIO started to rally. Tesla was also in an uptrend. Notice how they both pushed up. They came down a little bit. They pushed up together, came down, pushed up together. They both tanked together. Small push up, whereas Tesla's was just not as strong as NIO's right here. Then they both came down together. They both pushed up together. Then NIO started underperforming because earnings were not that great for NIO, and also deliveries were not the strongest, at least during the first quarter. They were still decent, just not as strong as what investors wanted. So yes, fundamentals play a role, but just look at how similar they are. Look at these similarities, right? Here, Tesla starts dropping. Here, NIO was dropping. Here, Tesla pushed up. Here, NIO pushed up. Here, Tesla started dropping. NIO was trading a little bit sideways similarly, and then NIO ended up dropping too. And also Tesla crashed after earnings. What did NIO do when Tesla had its earnings? NIO also crashed. How interesting. That's also because of external factors, because of pieces of news that came out involving the US's relations with China and other factors, of course. But it's just very interesting to note all of this stuff. Now, what you can also do is compare NIO to the QQQ and notice how the QQQ pumped here, came down, started pumping, NIO was pumping with it, trading a little bit sideways. They drop together, they push up together, they drop together, they push up together, they drop together, they push up together. And then once again, NIO has been underperforming, at least as of recent. But overall, there are some similarities in the price action. Here's a little bit different, so it's not exactly the same because the QQQ was really, really outperforming as of recent. But besides that, most of the time they do move in very similar directions. And what I mean by that is this was selling off here just like how NIO was selling off. This was pumping here, just like how NIO was actually pumping a bit. And once again, it goes on like that. You could also do the same thing with Tesla, but I just want to note that the market has a tendency of moving in very similar algorithms. Now, for NIO, one thing I want to note is that we saw a big spike in the short interest with over 10 million shares shorted. I do believe a lot of these actually were open for longer term short positions, but once again, this still is significant because if NIO starts to pump a bit, it could actually see a small squeeze. Not saying it's going to be a massive squeeze, but it could get a mini short squeeze all the way up to the nines. That could actually help NIO. For Tesla, I think we saw something similar because Tesla is still kind of undervalued in a way. Was Tesla's earnings good? Not necessarily. I would say it was actually pretty mixed and a little bit bad in some directions if you look at net income and things like that. But here's the thing. When we look at Tesla, you will notice that Tesla did not get a big spike in the short interest, but I do believe around earnings time, once this data updates, there could be a spike later on. However, Tesla has some bullish signals developing. When we look at Tesla, we got this crossover on the 1 hour time frame, and you could also bring up the extended hours, and you can already see that it already got it when you account for the pre-market and after-market price performances. And also, we had some bullish signals. So look at the 1 hour time frame on Tesla. Price was dropping, RSI was starting to uptrend. The MACD was also, it wasn't really correlated just yet, but the RSI was forming a bullish divergence. Tesla starts pumping and pumping and pumping. And now Tesla has a wide open MACD on the 4 hour time frame. Tesla looks like this. I mean, this just smells bullish from a mile away. Looks to me like Tesla's going to try to get to 170 very soon. It really does. And why do I say that? Well, weren't earnings horrible? No, well, they weren't really horrible, but they weren't that great either. And I just think that they don't justify a 10% crash in the share price in one day. It does not make any sense to me. It shouldn't have crashed that much in just one day. And I think it's a little bit undervalued. So I do believe it's due for a bit of a bounce, a bit of a rebound. And I do believe many factors are going to help this thing try to get back to this 170 area. 170 flat at least. I don't know if we're going to try to fill this gap. I mean, we could if we break the 50 EMA. We'll see how it reacts to this if it does end up testing it. But the bottom line is, I'm not as sure about Tesla filling this gap just yet. I mean, it's a possibility. It does depend on many different macroeconomic factors, how other earnings goes, and also the market, how it holds up. But I am very confident it's going to get to 170 at least 170 for Tesla. So it has some room to push up even more. It also formed an inverse head and shoulders, I believe. I think it's a little hard to see on the bigger time frames, but it did actually form it on the smaller time frame. Let's see if I can actually find it. There was an inverse head and shoulder that formed somewhere here. I think it's right here. So like right here, you could see left shoulder, the head, and then like the right shoulder. Yeah, so overall, we're getting some bullish signals. I think it's going to retest the 5-minute 200 EMA, get closer to 170, maybe breaking it. And I'm pretty confident that's going to happen to Tesla. Also, Cathie Wood started saying some bullish things. She's giving a bullish price target for Tesla. The second thing is Cathie Wood did buy more Tesla, I believe. And on top of that, Tesla's raising prices, which is what investors like. So bullish signals for Tesla. How does this help NIO? If Tesla continues to pump or even holds up, this could actually help the QQQ, which could actually help NIO as the algos tend to be correlated. NIO also has a possible inverse head and shoulders forming, and with the amount of shares that were shorted, this could actually lead to some squeezing pressure. But it's not confirmed for NIO. It's not as bullish looking as Tesla as of right now. We are getting some bullish signals on the 1 hour time frame with this PPO crossover. And then finally, hold on, with the extended hours, we already got the crossover similar to Tesla. So it's still showing some strength. I just want to note that we were technically coming down after we hit this. I don't know if this was a glitch or not, but we did technically form a possible bullish divergence like right here. And if this thing could test the 50 EMA, if we test it, there's a good chance we'll break it and we'll actually fly to the very high eights, if not $9 pretty quickly. But we have to break this yellow line basically. And the odds favor NIO trying to make an attempt to do so and trying to push up a little bit because 8 has been very strong support and NIO likes to bounce off of it. All right. So that's how I really interpret the charts. I think both Tesla and NIO may have some squeeze potential. We're still waiting for Tesla's data to come out to get more info on it, but the odds do favor a mini short squeeze coming very soon. Not saying it's going to take NIO to like $100 or $50 or anything like that, but it could actually lead to NIO getting closer to 9 or even higher than that, which is a pretty big move if you think about it, if you are trading options, and a lot of money could be made in the process. This could also help Tesla investors. I see 170 plus coming very soon. Once again, bullish news. The last thing I really want to say is I have some merch for you guys if you're interested. It's down below in the comments. If you are once again interested, it's either above or below the comments section. And with that out of the way, I thank you all so much for listening. NIO to the moon, because the long-term future is still incredibly bright. And peace out.